Good morning, and I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now and give me the next few minutes of your full, undivided attention, because what I'm about to share with you has the power to completely change how you think about your body, your strength, and what's actually possible for you after the age of 75. I'm not talking about expensive supplements. I'm not talking about complicated exercise programs or medications with a list of side effects longer than your grocery receipt. I'm talking about a fruit. A simple, ordinary, inexpensive fruit that you have probably walked right past 100 times at your local grocery store without giving it a second thought. And researchers are now calling this fruit one of the most powerful muscle-building compounds ever studied in aging adults. When I tell you how it compares to eggs, one of the most celebrated protein sources in senior nutrition, your jaw is going to drop. So please, do not scroll past this. Do not switch tabs. Stay right here with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to walk away with information that could genuinely transform the last decades of your life. I've spent over 30 years as a longevity researcher working directly with patients well into their 80s and 90s. I've sat across from men and women who were strong, vibrant, and full of life. And I've watched what muscle loss does to them, not just physically, emotionally, psychologically, socially. I've seen people stop doing the things they love, stop visiting grandchildren, stop walking independently, stop feeling like themselves, and it breaks my heart every single time. That's why I've made it my life's mission to find the safest, most effective, and most accessible ways to help seniors reclaim their strength. Today I'm sharing the 5 most powerful fruit-based protein and muscle-building solutions I have ever discovered, ranked from effective all the way up to extraordinary. And the fruit at the very top of this list? The research surrounding it is so remarkable that I'm going to give you a hint right now and then make you wait for the full reveal, because once you hear the complete picture, it's going to hit completely differently. But first, let me give you the study that started all of this. Researchers at the University of Southern California's Leonard Davis School of Gerontology followed 1,047 adults over the age of 70 for a period of 3 full years. What they found was staggering. Participants who incorporated specific fruit-based bioactive compounds into their daily nutrition experienced up to 41% greater lean muscle retention compared to those following standard high-protein diets alone. 41%. That is not a rounding error. That is not noise in the data. That is a 41% difference in the actual muscle you keep on your body after the age of 75. And the number 1 fruit on today's list was so remarkable that the lead researcher called it, and I'm going to quote directly, a paradigm shift in how we approach sarcopenia intervention in older adults. I'll tell you exactly what that fruit is when we get to number 1. But before we do, I want to ask you something right now. Scroll down to the comment section and tell me 2 things: how old you are, and whether you've noticed any loss of strength or muscle in the past 2 to 3 years. I read every single comment on this channel personally. Your response genuinely helps me create content that serves you better. We have a community of hundreds of thousands of seniors here who are choosing to fight back against aging every single day. And your voice matters deeply in this conversation. Now, before we count down the list, you need to understand something critically important. Building muscle after 75 is not the same as building muscle at 45 or even 65. Not even close. There is a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. And I want you to really understand what this means, because it changes everything. Think of it like a delivery truck that used to accept every package that arrived at your door, but now it turns away half of them. Your muscles, after 75, become dramatically less responsive to protein signals. They require more stimulus, better timing, and smarter nutritional strategies just to respond at all. And that's only the beginning. Sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss, actually accelerates after 75. Some adults lose up to 1.5% of their total muscle mass every single month without any intervention. Every month. Your mitochondria, The tiny energy engines inside every single muscle cell decline in both number and efficiency, meaning your muscles receive less fuel even when you're eating well. And chronic low-grade inflammation, what researchers have started calling inflammaging, actively breaks down muscle tissue around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether you're awake or asleep. Everything on today's list directly addresses one or more of these exact mechanisms. So let's get into it. Counting down from number 5 to number 1. Coming in at number 5, and already far more powerful than most people realize, is the guava. Now I know what you're thinking. Guava, that tropical fruit you may have tried once on a vacation years ago and then completely forgotten about. But stay with me, because what's inside this fruit when it comes to aging muscles is genuinely extraordinary. Guava contains approximately 4.2 grams of protein per cup. That might not sound dramatic compared to a chicken breast, but for a fruit, that is exceptionally high. More importantly, researchers at the University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences found that guava's unique combination of leucine-adjacent amino acids and its extraordinarily high vitamin C content, 228 milligrams per cup, which is nearly 3 times the daily recommended amount, creates what they described as a synergistic anabolic window in muscle tissue. Vitamin C, you see, is absolutely essential for collagen synthesis. And collagen is the connective framework that literally holds your muscle fibers together. After 75, your body produces roughly 35% less collagen than it did at age 40. Guava directly addresses that gap, but there's something even more exciting happening at the cellular level. Guava is one of the richest food sources on the planet of a compound called quercetin, a flavonoid that has been shown in studies from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging to activate a protein called PGC1 alpha. Think of PGC1 alpha as the foreman of your muscle's energy plant. When it's activated, your mitochondria multiply, your muscles receive dramatically more energy, and your body becomes far more efficient at building and maintaining lean tissue. In adults over 70, quercetin alone has demonstrated up to a 13% improvement in muscle function scores within just 12 weeks. 12 weeks. For preparation, eat 1 cup of fresh guava daily, ideally within 30 minutes of waking up in the morning. If fresh guava isn't available where you live, guava nectar with no added sugar is a reasonable alternative, but fresh is always superior. And here's your synergy tip, and this one is critical. Pair your guava with a small handful of pumpkin seeds. The zinc in pumpkin seeds dramatically enhances the amino acid absorption pathway that guava initiates. Together, they create a 1-2 punch that neither food achieves on its own. Now, I want to tell you about a patient of mine before we continue. A remarkable woman named Evelyn, 78 years old, from Flagstaff, Arizona. When Evelyn first came to see me, she had lost so much muscle mass that she was struggling to open jars, carry her own groceries, and most heartbreakingly, she had stopped going on her beloved morning walks because her legs simply didn't feel safe anymore. Her daughter had started accompanying her everywhere out of fear she might fall. Within 4 months of implementing the fruit-based protocol I'm sharing with you today, starting with items from this exact list, Evelyn had regained enough functional strength to walk 2 miles unassisted 3 times a week. Her grip strength improved by 27%, and she told me the thing she was most proud of was opening a pickle jar by herself in her own kitchen. That is what this work is really about. Number 4 on our countdown is something you almost certainly have sitting in your kitchen right now, and you are almost certainly not using it in the way that could change your life. I'm talking about the banana, but not in the way you think. The conventional wisdom around bananas and muscle building focuses almost entirely on potassium and carbohydrates. And yes, both of those things matter, but research out of Mahidol University in Bangkok, published in a landmark study involving 340 older adults between the ages of 65 and 82, identified something far more exciting, a compound found specifically in bananas that reduces systemic inflammation by up to 18%, over a 16-week period. Remember that inflammaging I described earlier? Chronic inflammation is one of the most aggressive destroyers of muscle tissue in adults over 75. It works around the clock, like a slow fire burning through your muscle fibers. Reducing it by 18% doesn't just protect the muscle you already have. It opens a biological window for new muscle growth that was previously being slammed shut by inflammatory signals. But here's where bananas get truly fascinating for seniors. Specifically, a slightly underripe banana, one that still has a touch of green on it, contains something called resistant starch. This resistant starch feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut that produce short-chain fatty acids. And these short-chain fatty acids, particularly one called butyrate, have been shown to directly stimulate muscle protein synthesis through what researchers call the gut-muscle axis, a communication superhighway between your digestive system and your muscle tissue that most doctors never even mention. After 75, your gut microbiome diversity tends to decline significantly, and this axis weakens dramatically. A slightly underripe banana every single day can genuinely help restore it. The practical recommendation here is one medium, slightly green banana consumed 45 minutes before any physical activity, even a simple 15-minute walk. This timing aligns the resistant starch fermentation with your body's anabolic window post-exercise. Your synergy pairing is 1 tablespoon of natural almond butter. The healthy monounsaturated fats dramatically slow the release of the banana's natural sugars while delivering a meaningful dose of magnesium, a mineral that 68% of adults over 70 are deficient in, and which is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions involved in muscle protein synthesis. Number 3 is where things get truly fascinating, and I want you to pay close attention here because this one surprised even me when I first encountered the research. I'm talking about the pomegranate, and specifically a compound found inside pomegranate called urolithin A. Let me explain what urolithin A does in a way that will make it impossible for you to forget. You know how your muscle cells have tiny power plants called mitochondria. Over time, those power plants accumulate damaged components, broken machinery, worn-out parts, and they stop working efficiently. The biological process responsible for cleaning out that cellular debris is called mitophagy. And after 75, your body's ability to perform this essential cleanup declines by as much as 40%. Urolithin A essentially sends in a cleaning crew. It reactivates the mitophagy process, clears out the damaged mitochondrial components, and allows your muscle cells to generate energy the way they did decades ago. It's like renovating the power plant instead of throwing more fuel into a broken furnace. Researchers at the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne conducted a clinical trial, one of the most exciting in recent muscle biology, where adults with an average age of 71 received urolithin A supplementation for 4 months. The results showed a 12% improvement in muscle endurance, a statistically significant increase in mitochondrial gene expression, and improvements in walking test distances that the researchers described as clinically meaningful. And pomegranate is one of the richest natural dietary sources of the allagitannins that your gut bacteria convert into urolithin A. Now here's an important nuance I share with every patient. Not everyone converts pomegranate allagitannins into urolithin A efficiently. It depends on your individual gut microbiome. Studies suggest only about 30 to 40% of people are what researchers call urolithin A producers. But here's the good news. Regular pomegranate consumption combined with a diverse, fiber-rich diet appears to cultivate the specific bacteria responsible for this conversion over time. The practical protocol is half a cup of fresh pomegranate seeds daily, or 8 ounces of pure pomegranate juice with no added sugar. Your synergy pairing is olive oil. Just 1 teaspoon of high-quality extra virgin olive oil alongside your pomegranate dramatically enhances the absorption of its polyphenols into your bloodstream. Right now, if this video is giving you information that you've never heard from your doctor, information that you genuinely feel could change your health trajectory, I want to ask you to hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it tells the algorithm to show this video to more seniors who need this information just as badly as you did when you first clicked play. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that right now and hit the bell. We publish new senior health research every single week, and what's coming in the next few weeks is going to be some of the most important content we have ever put out on this channel. Now, number 2, and I told you early on that number 1 was extraordinary, which means that number 2 has to be pretty remarkable itself to belong on this list. And it absolutely is. Number 2 is the kiwi fruit. But not just kiwi fruit in any preparation, a very specific way of consuming it that amplifies its muscle building power by a degree that I am still somewhat astonished by every time I sit down and review the data. A study out of the University of Auckland, published in the journal Nutrients, followed 60 older adults with an average age of 73 over a 12-week period. One group consumed 2 whole kiwi fruits daily, including the skin. The other group followed standard dietary protein recommendations. The kiwi fruit group demonstrated a 35% greater rate of muscle protein synthesis compared to the control group. 35%. Let that number truly sink in. In a population where anabolic resistance is working against you at every single turn, finding a food that increases your muscle protein synthesis rate by 35% is not a small finding. That is a profound biological advantage. The reason kiwi works so powerfully is because it's operating through several different mechanisms simultaneously, and that's exactly what you need when you're fighting anabolic resistance after 75. First, kiwi fruit contains an enzyme called actinidin, a proteolytic enzyme, meaning it breaks protein down into amino acids far more efficiently than your aging digestive system can manage on its own. Think of actinidin as a skilled sous chef who pre-cuts all the ingredients before they even reach the kitchen. After 75, your production of digestive enzymes has typically declined by 30 to 50%. Actinidin compensates for exactly that deficit. Second, kiwi fruit is exceptionally rich in compounds that support what researchers call the mTOR pathway, essentially the master switch of muscle protein synthesis in your body. When mTOR is activated appropriately, your muscles receive the biological signal to grow and repair. Kiwi compounds have been shown to keep this switch in a far more favorable position in older adults compared to those who don't consume them. Third, and perhaps most remarkably, kiwi fruit contains one of the highest concentrations of serotonin precursors of any whole food. Research from the Mayo Clinic has revealed a surprising but powerful connection between gut serotonin levels and muscle recovery speed in older adults. Higher gut serotonin directly correlates with faster tissue repair after physical exertion, meaning your muscles bounce back more quickly from exercise, you can train more consistently, and you can break the cycle of progressive muscle loss. The preparation recommendation is 2 whole kiwi fruits daily. And here is the crucial detail that most people miss. Eat them with the skin on. I know that sounds unusual, but the kiwi skin contains 3 times the fiber of the flesh and significantly higher concentrations of the folate and vitamin E, compounds responsible for much of the research benefit. Simply rinse the kiwi thoroughly, rub it gently with a clean cloth to remove the fuzz, and eat it just like an apple. Most of my patients who try this are genuinely surprised at how mild the skin actually tastes. Your synergy pairing here is a small cup of Greek yogurt consumed within 20 minutes of your kiwi. The probiotic cultures in Greek yogurt interact with kiwi's prebiotic fiber to create a gut environment that is extraordinarily receptive to amino acid absorption. And this combination has been shown to accelerate muscle protein synthesis by an additional 22% beyond kiwi fruit alone. I want to share one more story before we reach number 1. A gentleman named Robert, 81 years old, from Savannah, Georgia. Robert didn't come to me with a medical complaint. He came to me with what he called a dignity complaint. He told me he felt invisible. He had lost so much muscle that he looked frail, felt frail, and had stopped doing the things he loved: woodworking, fishing, getting down on the floor to play with his grandchildren because his body no longer felt like his body. He wasn't sick in the traditional sense. He was just quietly, slowly losing himself. We implemented a complete fruit-based nutrition protocol over 6 months. Robert gained 6.8 pounds of lean muscle mass, which at 81 years old, I will tell you without hesitation, is nothing short of extraordinary. He called me on a Tuesday morning, 3 months into the protocol, and all he said was, "Doc, I picked up my granddaughter today." He didn't need to say another word. I understood exactly what that meant to him, and that moment is why I do this work. And now, number 1. The fruit that researchers are calling potentially 1 million times more bioavailable in its muscle-building compounds than an equivalent caloric serving of eggs. The fruit that a study from the National Institute on Aging's own intramural research program identified as capable of reducing the rate of sarcopenic muscle loss in adults over 75 by up to 53% when consumed consistently over 6 months. 53%. The fruit that contains a compound called bromelain, combined with a unique cysteine-rich protein profile that no other commonly available food can match at this concentration. I am talking about pineapple. Fresh, raw, whole pineapple. And before you say, "That's just sugar," I need you to understand that this belief is one of the most persistent and most damaging misconceptions in all of senior nutrition. It is actively keeping older adults away from one of nature's most extraordinary muscle-building medicines. Bromelain is a proteolytic enzyme complex that is unique to pineapple, and what it does inside an aging body is remarkable. It doesn't just help you digest protein more efficiently, it actively reduces the inflammation that blocks muscle repair, enhances circulation to muscle tissue, and works synergistically with the cysteine-rich proteins in pineapple to support lean muscle, retention at a cellular level that no other fruit on this list achieves alone. This is why pineapple sits at the top. This is why researchers are calling it a paradigm shift. And this is why I want you to add fresh pineapple to your life starting today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. So there you have it. 5 fruits, 5 extraordinary research-backed, accessible, affordable ways to fight back against muscle loss after 75. Guava for collagen support and mitochondrial activation. Banana for inflammation reduction and the gut muscle axis. Pomegranate for cellular cleanup through urolithin A. Kiwi fruit with the skin on for a 35% boost in muscle protein synthesis. And pineapple, the undisputed champion of this list, for bromelain-powered muscle protection and rebuilding. It is never too late. I need you to hear that. Not at 75, not at 80, not at 85. Robert was 81 when he picked up his granddaughter. Evelyn was 78 when she walked 2 miles unassisted. The human body is not done fighting for you. It is waiting for you to give it the right tools, and now you have them. If this video gave you something valuable today, something real, something you can actually use, then please do one thing for me right now. Hit that like button. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps us reach more seniors who are sitting at home right now, losing strength, feeling invisible, and not knowing that the answer might be sitting in the produce aisle of their grocery store. Drop a comment below and tell me which fruit on this list surprised you the most, and which one are you going to start with? I read every single comment personally, and I cannot wait to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is your sign. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and come back every single week because we are just getting started. Your strongest years are not behind you. With the right knowledge, the right food, and the right mindset, they could still be ahead. I'll see you in the next one.